Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's in the frame. Okay guys, so it is another In the Frame. Welcome back down to the channel. And for those of you that watch every single video, the tuition, the In the Frames and everything, you will have already seen, those eagle-eyed viewers of you will have already noticed that we're in a new space. Yes, we've moved. This is my snooker room at home. Welcome. And yeah, the room will change a little bit as time goes on. You can see some of the trophies are out on display. They may or may not stay, I'm not sure, but you'll get to see that, and that'll change as these videos grow and grow. Let's crack on with it. As I say, In the Frame is where I commentate and talk you through every single shot as I play them. We're yet to have the magical 147, but who knows? This could be it. It probably won't be, but let's crack on with the Breakoff. Breakoff, end red, as always, load the left-hand side. I'm trying to get back here. I'm trying not to leave a long red for my opponent. And of course, if you are new to these videos, in the frame, I play both roles. I play player A, who starts, and player B. Don't worry as well. Now we're in our final place. This is going to become a bit of an in-home studio. There will be an on-screen scoring system coming very, very soon. We've seen all the comments. Don't worry, it's coming. But let's crack on, get the Breakoff and the frame underway. Now, I've actually been practicing my Breakoff a little bit in the hope of getting that red on and off that cushion a little bit more to stop my opponent coming to the table and having that immediate chance for the long red. And you know what I've been trying to do? This isn't as profound as it's going to sound. I've just been hitting it a bit harder. I've been trying to just hit the shot just that little bit harder to really try and get that on and off there. Because I realised that for years we were taught, and professionals have taught amateurs, to concentrate on getting a good cue ball. But of course that doesn't make any difference if you leave the long pot, does it? So I'm practicing now this shot to try and get the cue ball. I'm actually not bothered if it comes in behind the yellow. I don't mind if it doesn't finish on the cushion. What I'm trying to protect against is that red. I'd rather see that red come on and off and back to the pack. I don't care where this cue ball really finishes anymore. The problem is this red, because you can see how close that red was to coming back past the blue. That's the risk you take by hitting it that little bit harder. But if this were 17 frames all at the World Championship at the Crucible and it was your break, I'd be very, very happy with that result. So let's crack on. Going to come and have a look what's available down here. There's nothing on, there's no pots on, no shots or nothing's on. And I'm going to just have a look here. If I play off this red, it hits that one, and it clips this one. It may end up cannoning into this one, and it might push it towards the corner pocket. I could play the loose red, but that's very, very thin. And I've got to also try and get a good cue ball to try and not leave my opponent a shot on that red near the blue. So I'm just going to play nice quarter ball on this red. I don't really think I'm going to do too much damage. Don't want to cannon yellow or brown. Yeah, I've done a bit of damage there. I've popped a red over the corner. Didn't want that to happen. And I have hit the brown. And the cannon on the brown has actually saved me, wouldn't you know it? Isn't that amazing? So many times in snooker, that's what happens, isn't it? You have that sort of thought out shot. What am I going to leave? How's that cannon going to affect that? What red is going to knock onto another ball? Where's it going to go? You get the shot wrong. You think about it. You get it wrong. You cannon the brown and you snooker your opponent on that entire side of the table. And now if this were real, I've really, really put my opponent up against it now. Because what do you play from here? I can't really play safe and risk leaving that red over the corner pocket. I've got to go for something. And the only red I can really go for is that red to that bottom left corner pocket. So I'm just going to have a quick look at what's going to happen to the cue ball. I'm going to play this red to the corner, and I'm going to try and find this gap between this red here and the black and bring the cue ball around the table. And I'm going to play it as I would in a match. That means playing it with an element of safety. I could play it around here for the blue, but then I'm guaranteed to leave a really easy starter for my opponent should I miss it. I'm actually going to play the cue ball back up to this side of the table, and I'm trying to get in here somewhere so that if I were to miss it, I don't leave something super easy. Of course, if I go for it and miss it, I've got no real idea where they're going to finish. But hopefully I'm not going to miss it. Let's give this one my utmost. Nice bit of cueing. Bit of stun, left-hand side. Oh, well, I was very close. And I just missed it on the thick side. Those of you that were watching closely will have seen I hit the red slightly too thick. That altered the path of the cue ball, and I actually hit the red over the corner. So again, if this were match play, that's as close to catastrophic as you get. That's gone totally wrong. And now I've left myself with a really good chance to score as many as I possibly can here. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to crack on. Little stun shot on this red, up for the black. And we're off and running. Well, I'm sure you're saying it. I'm already thinking it. The 147 is on. I'm going to try and stay with the black as many times as I possibly can. I'm going to pop the black, run round the house here off 2 cushions, a little bit of left-hand side, and I'm going to play into this area. Anywhere past here I'm happy because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 reds that'll lead me back to the black. If I overhit it, I've got this one. If I super overhit it, I've got these 2 waiting for me. So as long as I don't miss the black, it's hard to see this shot going wrong, he said. That's nicely round the angles. That's 8. And I'm just checking to see whether these 2 reds are a plant into this corner. They're not. And just pop this red a nice little stun shot for the black. Anything but straight here is okay on the black. 9. And a nice little screw shot on the black this time for this red into the same pocket as the black. If it goes wrong, I've got this red here nearest my bridge hand waiting for me. That's 16. And if this were match play, I would be thinking this is a great chance for a 147. These balls are set nicely. Little stun shot on the red just to leave a nice angle on the black. 17. And I could, if I wanted to, play the split shot here. I could play this with topspin, pop the black, and arc the cue ball, bend the cue ball off that cushion into this gap here, move those reds with the safety that I'm probably going to be on one of these 2 if I want to play that. So, you know, it's a good chance, isn't it, to go into them. This is too good an opportunity to leave, I think, because if I'm going to chase the 147, I will have to move those reds at some stage. The more of these open reds I remove in banking some points, then I don't have them as reserves, do I, for if the split shot goes wrong. So at this point, I'm going to take a risk, but it's quite a low risk. I'm going to pop the black, bend that cue ball into this gap here. That's my aim. Move those reds, and hopefully, worst case scenario, be on this one here next to me. Need a bit of top spin, right hand side spin, and into that, arc it into that gap. Well, I didn't get the gap, did I? I actually didn't arc the cue ball as much as I needed to there. I actually hit it probably a little bit too softly and didn't get the top spin on to get the bend on the cue ball. It just went in more of a straight line up the table. So unfortunately, that's the 147 dream gone. The break's at 24. We'll just drop the red in here for a baulk colour. Nice bit of cueing needed off the side cushion. Keep everything still. Yeah, pleased with that. 25. And I'm just checking here what pots into this pocket. I could play for that loose red that's by the yellow, but I like leaving that there as a reserve ball should things go wrong. I'm going to pop the yellow and I'm going to play off this cushion, little stun shot, tiny bit of left-hand side, and I'm playing into this area here, anywhere here, and I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 reds. The only way this can go wrong is if I miss the yellow or I finish somehow stuck to the pink. As long as that doesn't happen, I'm going to be on a red. And that's not happened, although it wasn't too far away, was it? 27. Red with the rest, so nice little soft stun shot, a little bit, well, it's more like a screw shot really to hold for the black. 28. And now it's just about trying to pick these reds off. The 147 dream was exciting, but as that's now gone, these reds are now in such a great position, you should really win the frame from here. Screw shot this time with the black. We need what's called reverse side in this case. That's left-hand side to bring the cue ball off the cushion and widen its natural path out here for a choice of reds. The risk here is if you don't get the side spin on, the cue ball comes off the cushion at its natural angle, which would collide with this red. So the left-hand side brings it here and then widens it out into this zone. You really need to strike these well to get the side spin on. There you see the cue ball widened its natural angle and went around that red. If I'd played that plain ball without any side spin, I would have cannoned into that red. So that's 35. And now I'm having a look at maybe playing for the pink, because if I play for blacks here, getting to the next red, you know, is possible. This red here pots to this middle, this one goes to that middle, so it's on, but it's a lot easier from here potting the pink to get to the next red. I'm just trying to be aware, if I do play the pink and put it back on its spot, that will block my path and access to that red into that corner pocket. So you have to weigh up here. Are you willing to sacrifice access to that red in maybe 6 or 7 shots time for the sake of playing for the pink now? That's what I'm weighing up in my own mind. I'm on 35. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 reds in open play that all go. That's a possible 32 points. Added to the 35 I've already got is 67. Plus this one and a colour would get me over the line, wouldn't it? So at this point, I'm just going to take a second just to decide what I think the right thing to do is. And I'm splitting hairs, really. I can play for the black or the pink. I think just in this case, because I'm not chasing the 147, I'm going to play for the pink. Just a little screw back. And the break moves on to 36. Little stun shot on the pink. Nothing miraculous needed here to hold position for the red next door to it. And wouldn't it have been nice to christen the first in the frame in the new snooker room with a 147? Wasn't meant to be. We move on to 42. Just checking that this red pots to the right middle pocket. I can play for it into the corner pocket as well. I'm going to pot the red and run through for the black. And we're closing in on the half century. That's 43. Now, do I want to pop the black and play for the red into the corner? Or do I want to play for it in the middle? I think I'm going to play for it in the corner. And you know, in an ideal world, I'd love to be slightly high on it, slightly above the red, so that in potting it, I run through and nudge this red and maybe encourage some of those into pottable positions. Because as it stands, these 5 reds don't pot. And if I'm going to win the frame here, which I really ought to, I'm going to have to use these 3 loose reds. That means the cue ball is going to be doing quite a lot of mileage. I'd love to finish high on the red, to then disturb. I'd have the pink to the middle, keep the cue ball local. I'd much prefer that. But to get high on this red from here, I'm going to have to hit this black quite hard, which I don't really want to do. But Let's see if we can get up there. Well, I think if I hadn't accidentally cannoned into that red, I might have got there, but as it happens, having hit the red by mistake and to have retained position on this red, that's a little bit fortunate. So that puts the break to 50. Let's just have another recap of the scores. 50 points ahead. I can't now play for black or pink, so I'm going to have to go red, blue. That'll be 56. 57, let's say 64. 65, and let's say the brown for 69, will leave 67 points remaining. So as long as I don't use many yellows or greens here, I can win this frame here and now with the reds that are in open play. Nicely up for the blue. That's nice, not too far. Pop the blue and screw over for the red to the corner pocket. Oh, that's just screwed back a little bit more than I wanted it to. That's the brand new cloth, brand new set of balls just caught me out there. I got a lot of spin there for very little effort on that cue ball. Anyone who's played on a new cloth with new balls will know that that cue ball just spanned that little bit more. So that's 56. And because I'm now slightly out of position, that cue ball's come just over here that little bit too much. When I pop this red now, if I want to play for the black, I can drop it in, but I'm going to be going quite close to the black. That means my margin of error for correct position becomes narrower. So if I wanted to, I could pop this red and screw back for the blue, taking this red next. Let's just work the maths out. 56 at the moment, 57 with the red, 62 with the blue, 63 with the next red. And to win the frame at the next visit, I'd have to take the blue following this red up here. So this is decision time. I can make life slightly more complex on this shot and play for the black, but that will give me more points to play with, won't it? The problem is if I pop this red and don't finish correctly on the black, then I'm making things hard work. So it's decision time. What do I want to do? 56 points to the good. I think I'm just going to drop it in, you know, because that was the original plan. Just try and drop this red in nice and gently. Yeah, no heroics. But from here, that looks very, very straight on the black, which would be a nightmare. Have I got any angle at all? I've got zero angle. And now it looks like that decision on the red to play through for the black was a mistake. Even though I'm on 57 and I'm going to be 64 up after this black goes in, like, I don't think I can play there and pop that red. I don't think I can get there. I'm absolutely perfectly straight on the black with loads of reverse side. The best I can do is get out for here, and then I'll have that red for 65 and maybe the brown for 69. That's now my plan. I've somehow made a simple situation complicated, and it can all be tracked back to the blue, where I potted the blue and just slightly, by the width of a ball, overscrewed on the red. So I need maximum screw and right hand side on this cue ball to get up the table anywhere to have a shot at the long red. There you see the right hand side just helping that cue ball up the table by inches only. So I'm now 64 points ahead with 75 remaining. I'm so close to the line. I need now to pot at least the brown after this red to make things safe. Well, I could pot the green, I suppose. I think what I'm actually going to play here is I'm going to play with top spin. I'm going to try and pot the red and bring the cue ball off the cushion through this gap of yellow and brown and down here for the blue. If I could finish on the blue here somewhere, I'd be really, really pleased with myself. Of course, if I were to go for this and miss it, then I would give my opponent, who is myself, a chance to counter. And I have missed. And that, sometimes you hear us refer to it in commentary as the snowball effect. And it happened very quickly there. Imagine a snowball rolling down a mountain. It starts off really small, and as it rolls, it gathers pace and it gathers size and mass. In terms of positional play, that's what happened there. I was slightly out of position on the red. I was perfect on the blue. Then I overscrewed it, finished slightly out of position on the next red. I was then slightly out of position on the black. That put me out of position on the red, and eventually I've missed the red. So I'm 64 points ahead with 75 points remaining. In steps player B now. Player B's trying to chase. Player B's not interested in the lead. And this is quite a complex scenario. This is quite a little complicated one, because what do you play here? This isn't straightforward. Not at all. I'm going to need an extension on the cue, whatever happens. And I'm going to need the rest. Now, the obvious shot here is to, if I hit the red full in the face, it comes off the cushion and it goes this way. Because it's a new table, because it's a new cloth and a new set of balls, when this red hits the cushion there, it's going to go slightly more that way off the cushion than I want it to. That means it might hit the green. So that becomes too risky. I can't play that. And of course, if it were to go off the cushion and through that gap, it's going straight towards that corner pocket. And as the player now chasing the game, I don't want it anywhere near there. The only time I want it to go near the pocket is when I'm trying to pot it. So that little stun shot through the gap, leaving it safe, isn't really on here. I haven't got many options at all. The only real option I've got, and it's a horribly defensive shot, is to dump the red off here, over here, and put the cue ball over here. Hopefully meaning that my opponent, when they come to the table, can't see that red, and I force them tactically to play the cluster of reds. This is a really interesting tactical scenario. So I'm trying to put the red on the side cushion and snooker behind the baulk colours. Well, I've underhit it by some way. But you know what? If you were that player there and you were 64 points behind with those points on the table, you've done no damage. Yeah, I did want to snooker my opponent, but I haven't left a pot. Okay, so I come back in as the player with the lead. I've now got 64 points to my advantage with 75 remaining. What do I want to do here? Do you know, ordinarily you would never want to move a red from a cushion, but it's so near the pocket, it's not really safe, is it? I don't want to open those reds, really. I've got no colours safe, so I'm at risk here. This is a risky situation. I don't have the angle on this red where I can knock it round the table, the old cocked hat double, trying to send it around the house and get it down the table. That angle's not there. And if I just put the red across the table here and leave the cue ball this side, well, then I'm leaving my opponent that opportunity to play a good safety, aren't I? So, again, this isn't straightforward. I think just to move the game on, I will play the little cross double on the red, because this can't go wrong. And what that's done now is that's given my opponent that opportunity who's chasing, come to the table 64 behind, I can now try and play a good safety shot to force a mistake. I'm going to play the red off the cushion into the middle of the table, and I'm trying to get the cue ball directly behind brown and blue, hoping to snooker my opponent on all reds. Now it's a little bit short, but it's not the end of the world. Come to the table, 64 points to the good now. What's the right shot to play here? Well, as I said, you know, I don't really want to go anywhere near the cluster of reds. I'd like to keep them safe. But what do I do off the red in the middle of the table? What can I possibly do with that? Now, I can't get back to baulk on it. What I might do is just play it onto the bottom cushion and onto the side cushion, just dump it over there. Because, you know, my opponent who's chasing, he can't pot it if it's on the cushion. So nothing really to do there but that. That's as good as anything, isn't it? When you're protecting a lead. I'm 64 points up. I don't need to move anything. I don't need to do anything fancy. Come to the table again, chasing. And I'm actually snookered on that red. So, do you know that was quite a good shot? Actually, can I even see that red? Yeah, I can just about see it. So all I've got here is the clip off to play to the back cushion. I've actually nudged the red into a possible position, but as the player now coming to the table 64 points ahead, like there's no way I'm going to go for that red to the middle pocket. I can't see that red, and you wouldn't move that red even if it was the only red you could see. That red now has to stay there. If you're protecting a lead like 64 with 75 remaining, that red has to stay over there. That's your banker. So I've only really got one shot here, and that's to play safe up the table. I'm actually going to try and run into the yellow to make it more awkward. That's one of the worst shots I've played this year. Bearing in mind, I tried to hit the yellow to make it awkward, and I've actually stuck the red up. So we'd mark that down as a mistake. That was a bad shot. Not only was it a bad choice of shot, it was a bad execution of shot. So now I get the chance. 64 points behind, 75 on, but this is a full-blooded one. I can't stun this in. I can't go for the long red and punch it in because I'll cannon into reds or the black. So I have to go for this one full-bloodedly, fully committed. Pop the red, drag it in, off the cushion for the black to the same pocket. This is one of those ones that if you're going to go for it, you have to get it. Well, I said had to get it because I thought I was going to leave it. I don't know whether I have left it. I haven't. Okay, so we did okay there. Now, remember what I said a minute ago. I'm now the player who's 64 points up with 75 on. The only red I can see is the one on the cushion. Am I going to play it? No chance. Absolutely no chance. I'm not going to go near it. Although I can play such a simple safety off it, back to baulk and move that red, I'm not going to lift it for my opponent. I can't do it. There's no way you can do that. You have to play a different shot. So I'm going to try and swerve around the black and just clip that red on the way. The left-hand side with the swerve will take the cue ball up the table. And you know, I'm really happy with that result. So many players there would have moved that red on the side cushion, and then they would have said, well, it was the only red I could see. What was I supposed to do? You cannot play it. You must find something else to do. Swerve around the black, clip the other red, and play the cue ball back to safety. Now, if I do find myself with a chance to counter clear, that red's a problem, isn't it? So that was a really well thought out bit of strategy there, even if I say so myself. Chasing the lead here. This red doesn't pop, but I've got a nice safety shot here. Going to move all the reds, get the cue ball back home. Don't really know where they're all going to go. And I need cover behind the yellow. And I haven't got it. Okay, so I come to the table 64 points ahead. This is slightly awkward because the natural angle, if I pop this red, is going to run into the black. If I try and play it with screw to avoid the black, I hit the red next door. And if I miss them two, I hit the reds on the cushion, which I don't want to do. I need to protect my lead. So I'm just going to throw all my concentration here into potting this red. I don't really care where the cue ball goes. And I did run into the black. That was unavoidable, but I've been quite fortunate and knocked the black on to the middle pocket. 65 up with 67 remaining. So it's just this black to win the frame. And don't forget, when I pop the black, it's going to go back on its spot. pot and will block access to this red, although this red pots into that corner from here. So I'm playing to pop the black off the 2 cushions, back round for that red in the opposite corner. Oh, I've just grazed the red, oh goodness. But that does take me across the line. 72 points ahead now with 67 remaining. That's the frame in the bag. I'm going to try a little sneaky double. Not my strong suit. How did we do? We missed it. Well, guys, that's the first in the frame from the new snooker room. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, then make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button whilst you're at it. It's totally free, it costs you nothing, and we're bringing you a couple of videos every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.